What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. TK Show up on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online. Stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. The app, download it. Take it on the go there. The Sports Talk app, where you got the video streams currently up and rolling right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Happy Friday, June 21st, everybody. What do we got on a good old game plan for us this morning? Brewers, another late one last night, falling late, although making a comeback there, tying it up in the ninth, but the Padres able to put up a run in the bottom frame of the ninth inning and getting away with a 7-6 victory last night. Brewers jumped out to a 1-0 lead, then they jumped down into a hole 4-1 after one there, but climbed themselves back out of it, tied it up, down 4-6, tied it up in the ninth, but Padres able to get it done when it was all said and done. So Brew Crew dropping this one. Bryce Wilson, not the greatest of starts, 4 2/3, 5 earned runs, giving up 3 dingers in the game. So not his greatest performance last night. Brewers will try to bounce back tonight with Colin Ray. Colin Ray going on the mound. Let's talk a little Colin Ray here this morning because, gotta be a little pleasantly surprised with the performance of Colin Ray so far this year, right? I mean, you look at his last couple outings, pretty solid starts for the guy. And overall this year, 6-2 with a 3.29 ERA for Colin Ray. So, he's kind of surpassing my expectations. I think his month of May, about average-ish, April, average-ish. May had that 4.22 ERA. April, he was a 3.57. But so far in the month of June, dude's 2-0 with a 1.59 ERA in 3 games. He's been pretty solid so far in the month of June. Does he got another one in him? Hopefully, he's got a lot more in him for the rest of the season here. But we'll throw a little Colin Ray chat in here and take a look at the rest of the 3 games coming up on the schedule for this series against the Padres. You've got Carlos Rodriguez getting a start tomorrow. Then Tobias Myers will get the start on Sunday before the Brewers return home on Monday to take on the Texas Rangers. We do have an update on Robert Gasser. He is electing surgery. He is going to elect surgery. The recovery is expected to take up to 12 months, though the precise timeline apparently will depend on the details of the repair. So we'll chat about this with Dr. Crow for Inside the Training Room coming up in about an hour from now, but get his analysis and thoughts on that. So, but kind of look at the calendar. 12 months from now, next year, June. So Robert Gasser probably won't be starting off the season as part of the starting rotation for the Crew, which is it's a downer. Let's be real. It's a downer considering how well he started his career this year, right? We were so pumped up. We were so excited. That guy, he had to be pumped up. He had to be so, thrilled with his starts. So it's a downer, no doubt about it. But as I mentioned, we will catch up with Dr. Crow in about an hour. After that, we'll catch up with our dude, Brandon Berg, sports editor of the Chippewa Heralds. We'll do a little local sports roundup with him, and then definitely talk some Brewers with him and such. Also, coming up, since it is a Friday, we'll do a little cream of the crop. So if you want to play along with us, all right, let us know. Play along. Give us your cream of the crops. Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, all right? 715-830-1912. We'll do a couple more matchups in our 64-player bracket for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. One of them is still too close to call. I'm going to call it. It's still too close to call. It's the last one we put up yesterday, that Badger one. This has been the closest one so far. Altoon holds, it looks like, a 1-vote lead over Darrell Bevel, according to the comment, if we add up our Facebook and Twitter polls. So if you want to cast a couple votes, if you haven't done so yet, get on my Facebook page, my Twitter page, all right, and vote. We'll hold that one open for the next couple hours until we announce the last matchup of the day in that 8 o'clock hour. Since that matchup was the last one yesterday, we'll hold that one open for a little bit yet because it is too close to call right now. It is literally 50-50 on Twitter, and I think Toon has a 1-vote lead on Facebook. So you want to get in on that action and vote, maybe increase Toon's lead or get Darrell Bevel back into it. Go to the Facebook and Twitter pages and vote right now. But we'll get to a couple more. We're going to do another Brewers matchup today. We'll throw that one in there. That'll be in the last hour here. But coming up in this hour, we'll have another open brackets over there. Got Paul Kaufman did defeat Ezra Johnson, so Paul Kaufman will be he'll be moving on into the second round. So coming up this hour, we'll do another Bucks/open bracket. We had Terry Cummins and Terry Porter in that first one. Terry Porter moving on, so we'll get to another one coming up here in just a little bit. We'll open up the voting on that one. So, but that'll be coming up throughout. Well, we'll be hitting that up all morning long and such. So, got Stanley Cup Finals, Game 6 tonight. Can Edmonton, down 3-0 in the series, winning their last two, forcing a Game 6? Can they force a Game 7 tonight? The best thing in all of sports, Game 7. Could they do it? They got to take care of business tonight, though, first. So the series moves back to Edmonton. Edmonton right now is slight, looks like slight favorite in this game. If there is a Game 7, if Edmonton were to win this thing, Game 7 will be on Monday night. So we'll have this game as part of our picks and predicts coming up a little bit later on. So what else do we might throw a little football chat in here just to spice things up as well. I know we're all kind of waiting to hear and see, about Jordan Love's contract and such. When is it going to happen? Still got about a month to get her done because Packers will be opening up training camp on the 22nd. So it'll be a month from tomorrow. Times are out there. I mean, 10:30 if you want to go check some practices out when it comes to training camp. 10:30 is the time, subject to change though too. So put that in the back of your mind. But those were released yesterday. Yesterday there too. I was reading, I know it's kind of the downtime right now with NFL content and such. Some are doing the top 100 players and all that, but NFL.com had a writer pick pick a player from every team, a player to root for, not expecting their Packers pick. Alex McGough, their backup quarterback from last year, now converting to wide receiver. So I don't know if I would pick that one. To be honest, I think there's quite a few more that I would vote because I'm gonna be honest with you, he ain't making a team. He might make the practice squad. There's no way he's cracking the wide receiver depth chart right now unless they're just decimated with injuries. So that's not happening. Not happening. I'm not saying you can't root for him or not rooting for him or anything. It's just that's such an uphill climb at this point in time. So, but let's get things rolling this morning, shall we? Let's open it up talking some Brewers baseball. Brewers falling late last night. Another late game. 7-6, although if you were up for it, listening to it, watching it, you were You were stuck throughout the whole thing because the Brewers they went down to the very last last run, last inning and such. So, but fallen just a bit short in their comeback attempt. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The game last night. Look ahead to this series for the Crew. Talk a little Colin Ray. I might throw a little Reese Hoskins chat in here too because there's a good article from Adam McCulvey from Brewers.com about Reese Hoskins and Willie Mays' impact on his career. So we'll talk some baseball, but join in on the conversation. Hey, you got some topic ideas? You got some questions you want to throw out for the rest of our listeners and such? Hit me up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, 715-830-1912. Don't forget, it is too close to call right now on the Daryl Bevel and Al Toon voting. So get on in on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Casper Sports or Twitter/X. Vote for that. We'll announce that final winner coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But we'll announce another matchup coming up after we take our first break and get things going here this morning. I think we may throw another Bucks player into this one. Bucks player and then a golfer. Little tease there. What's on the grill this weekend or for the rest of the summer here? Maybe you got some backyard barbecues, picnics, get-togethers coming up here. 4th of July's coming up. Can't believe we're saying that already. So if you're trying to figure out your menu for that, make sure you visit our good friends from Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Check out those Bloody Mary brats, baby. Those are fantastic. They might be my new favorite ones out there. They are my new favorite ones out there. But portions of the proceeds going to help Backyard Dreams. Mike's is such an amazing supporter of Backyard Dreams. I can't thank them enough. I mean, you go in there, they'll have the Backyard Dreams sticker on some of the brats there, some of the freeze dried candy and such that they now do over there. We're addicted to the caramel M&M ones right now, but go check out our good friends at Mike Star Market at west side of Eau Claire. Just high quality products over there. Awesome, Mike, Sarah, the entire team over there. Just awesome people over there, and they do a lot for the community too. I know they for the Eau Claire Nationals. They donate some of the food over there too. So, but head on over, maybe grab some brats, some steaks, some burgers, whatever the case may be. Maybe pre-plan it if you got a 4th of July party coming up for the backyard and such. So go ahead and check them out on the west side of Eau Claire. Man, just really quick. So I asked you, we're keeping this open for a little under 2 hours right now. The Daryl Bevel and Al Toon one, and this one has been close. And it's still close. Even on the Twitter poll, it's still 50-50. We've got I think, yeah, Toon is leading by 2 votes right now. So if you want, get to my Facebook page, my Twitter page, vote. We'll leave this one open because a little too close to call right now. But with that being said, let's announce another matchup here. So I'll put it up on my Facebook page and Twitter page here in just a little bit here, but I might as well announce it right now. So our next one that we're going to open up for voting, we're going back to the Bucks/Open region here. We're going with former Bucks big man, forward defensive player Larry Sanders versus Steve Stricker, the golfer. So we'll open that one up for voting. I got an idea where it's going to go, but hey, never know. Never know. We'll see how it kind of flows out and such. But we'll open that one up for a little chit chat or for us some voting coming up in probably about 15-20 minutes. I'll put it up on the Facebook and Twitter pages this morning. So all right, let's chat a little bit about some Brewers baseball last night. Brewer Crew falling late 7-6 to the Padres. Brewers digging themselves in an early hole, 4-1 through 1, but the Brewers able to tie it up in the ninth, putting up a couple runs there, thanks to Rhys Hoskins tying it up there with his RBI double. But Brewers not able to hold on, not able to force extra innings as the Padres put up 1 run walk-off victory there in the bottom of the ninth there. So Brewers looking to bounce back and pick up a win tonight with Colin Ray on the mound. With Colin Ray on the mound, we're going to get to Colin Ray here in just a skosh. But last night's game, Wilson, not the greatest starts from Bryce Wilson. I mean, he's been more times than not, he's been pretty darn solid for a dude who has been bullpen guy, middle relief guy, asked to be a starter, stretched out to be a starter. And I mean, he's had some solid moments this year. Just one of those games last night where it wasn't his nights. Going 4 2/3, giving up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and 3 dingers, 3 home runs. In fact, you look at his last 3 games. I mean, that Cincinnati game back on the 15th, he bounced back nicely, putting up 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, striking out 6, picked up a win. But before that, that was a struggle against Detroit, where he gave up 7 earned runs. So, I mean, 2 in his last 3, not the greatest performances from Bryce Wilson there. So, but Terrain collecting 3 hits at the top as leadoff hitter again last night. Willie Adames collecting a couple hits. Yelich continues. He was on base a couple times with a walk and a hit. He scored twice in the game last night. So, but yeah, just not enough. 9 hits and 6 runs for the Crew. So they'll try with Colin Ray on the mound tonight. Colin Ray, who I think it's fair to say, maybe it's just for me. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but for me, in my opinion, he's kind of exceeded my expectations so far. I didn't know what to expect from Colin Ray heading into this season. I thought, okay, is he like a 500 average type of pitcher, maybe hovering around 11 and 10? I'm talking about like record wise, 11 and 10, 9 and 11, something like that. ERA maybe about low 4s, high 3s, or whatever the case may be. But he's so far exceeded my expectations, and he's off to the month of June. He's pitching pretty darn well in the month of June. In 3 games, he's 2-0 with a 1.59 ERA. May mostly May is kind of maybe where I thought what we would expect from Colin Ray throughout the season. He pitched in 6 games. He was 2-2 with a 4.22 ERA. I mean, that's kind of back end rotation-esque numbers, if you will. Had that stretch of games in the middle of May where he gave up 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs, then 5 earned runs in 3 straight games. But then bounced back nicely, going back even on the 25th, 2 earned runs. Finished up the month of May against the Cubbies, 1 earned run, and then going into June. So, I mean, we factor in those last couple games in the month of May and his 3 starts so far in June. Colin Ray has been pretty solid. And I got to tip my cap to the guy because, again, I didn't know what to really. We saw him last year, but again, we didn't know anything about him from last year. He gets called up because of injuries, and not sure really what to expect from the guy. Right? Not sure what to kind of like forecast, if you will. And he was okay last year. I mean, what last year's numbers? Let me bring him up here to just be a little bit. And can I do that? Yeah, let me hear. So last year's numbers, Colin Ray. Come on, load up here, baby. Load up for me. Here we go. So last year, Colin Ray. He was. Oh, they're not going to break it down for me here a little bit. Okay, I'll try to. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. So, what the heck is that? Oh man. Oh, anyways, but so far this year, Colin Ray 6-2 with that 3.29 ERA. Here we go. So for Colin Ray's numbers last year, just to kind of give a comparison to where he was last year in 2023, where he kind of amazing. And he's been around the league. He was around the league for a little bit. Early, 2015 started off with the Padres for a couple years. Then he was in Miami, but then he was out, minor leagues and that. Came back to the big leagues for a few games with the Cubbies in 2020. But last year, he pitched in 26 games. Pitched in 26 games, had a 6-6 record with a 4.56 ERA. Honestly, that's kind of where I was like going back to my preseason expectations for Colin Ray. 11-10, 9-11, 4 something ERA. And he's exceeding that. He's exceeding those numbers for me so far. And boy, do the Brewers need it too, right? I mean, man, do they need it. They need this guy to continue to play at this high level that that he should be, that he's currently doing right now. We all know that with the injuries to the starting rotation and such. Different guys coming in, 12, 13 different starting pitchers for the Crew this year. Colin Ray has been, is it fair to say Colin Ray has been the brightest spot so far in the starting rotation? Starting rotation, not all pitchers, because I'd throw Brian Hudson into that equation because that guy has been absolutely phenomenal this year. But is it fair to say that Colin Ray has been the brightest star so far? in the starting rotation. Freddie Peralta, kind of up and down. For me, at least in my opinion, I don't think he's pitched the level that we expected. I would throw Robert Gasser in there, brightest star, but he's out now. He's hurt. Wade Miley got hurt. He was out. Carlos Rodriguez, only just a couple games in here. Can't really put a whole lot on there. And maybe Tobias Myers. You could throw him into maybe that answer for one of the brightest spots of this starting rotation. Unsung heroes, maybe a little early for that. But I think they're in the running. If we asked, who are a couple of unsung heroes for this Brewers team, I'd throw Colin Ray into that. So hopefully he can go out there and have another game tonight, but also have a pretty darn solid season for the rest of this year and continue to have a career year, really. I mean, you're looking at his career. You go back to 2016, he started 18 games out of 19 for the Padres. He was 5-5, and then last year started 22 out of 26, 6-6. Yeah, he's on path to have his career year, and he's 33. So I mean, he's not in baseball age and sports age. He's not a spring chicken, right? He's not 25, 24, and maybe just beginning his career right now. He's a little bit older up there. Rhys Hoskins, though, you want to talk about, Rhys Hoskins last night tied it up there in the ninth with that double. But Hoskins, it was a good article if you have a chance from Adam McCulvey on Brewers.com to talk about his how Willie Mays impacted his career. And if you were watching a little bit last night with Rick Wood, the game between the Cardinals and the Giants, I mean, you want to talk about some of the legends of the game that were there. Reggie Jackson, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds was also there. But I mean, Reggie Jackson, listening to some of his stories to when he was down playing in Rickwood, and talked about the racism that he faced, and he even mentioned he was mentioning some of the managers and some of his teammates that helped him out and let him stay at their places, and he mentioned Raleigh Fingers as one of those guys that helped him out and let him sleep on his couch because there was places that wouldn't let Reggie Jackson stay, hotels or anything like that. And he was talking about some of his former teammates, and he mentioned Raleigh Fingers when Raleigh Fingers was playing in Birmingham in the minor leagues. But kind of a powerful story. I know it's all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, and all that. So if you want to check it out, you can do that. But seeing all those and hearing some of the stories and such, I'm such a history buff, sports history buff. So to hear some of that, it was just kind of give you a little bit of goosebumps and such. But Rhys Hoskins talking about Willie Mays, and again, you can read the whole article yourself. But he said that probably the reason I'm playing baseball is because my dad loved watching Willie Mays. I'm sure there's so many stories like that out there, but that tells you a lot about the Say Hey kid. But you talk about, and that's kind of maybe the question, just kind of a reflection question I wanna throw out there a little bit. You hear, and when I do interviews and such with others, be like, who are some of your biggest influences? Who got you into sports, or who really, who or what hooked you into loving the game or getting involved in sports and such. So I want to ask that to you, the listeners out there. Obviously, if you're listening, you like sports. You probably played it at some level. Maybe it was just little league. Maybe it was just in school. Maybe it was high school. Maybe it was Legion. Maybe you did play college or whatever level you did. Or maybe you're just a fan. How did you become a fan? How did you get into sports? What was it that, was there a person? Was there a moment? Or maybe it was just, a general sense of, it was something to do, and started doing it, and that's just kind of how you fell into it. What's your story? What's your story? How did you get into being a fan, or how did you get into loving, whether it was baseball, whether it was football, basketball, golf, tennis? I don't care. Whatever sport it is. We all have a story. We all have a person or something that kind of led us into being a fan. Maybe it was just because, hey, you grew up as a kid and you played it with your brothers, your sisters, or your dad or your mom, or whatever the case may be. But it's a really cool kind of nugget. Again, I'm not going to read the whole article for you. You can go to brewers.com and check it out and such. But the one when Reese Hoskins, that one quote, I'm like, there's so many other stories like that, and we hear it a lot from pro athletes. But what about just from fans, for the love of the game? How did you become involved in sports? How did you become a fan of sports, or maybe a team or a player? Was there a player that really kind of, when you were a kid, maybe you just turned on TV, or maybe you turned on the radio, or maybe you were reading about him or him or her, and you're just like, you're kind of hooked, and that's what got you into it? What's that story? Maybe it was a coach, maybe it was a teacher. All right, if you want, share it. I'm love hearing stuff like that. Hit me up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. All right, we'll take a quick break here, and I'll put up that next poll question up there on the Facebook and Twitter pages, or I should say the next bracket matchup up there. Otherwise, hit us up with a text, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to finish up the first hour after these quick words. If you're hitting the road this summer for some road trips, summer vacations, anything like that, man, you want to make sure your vehicle is ready to hit that road. And that's why you got to make your appointment with ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking for an oil change or whether you need some new tires, they can hook you up there too. Or if you're, maybe one of your summer projects is fixing up a vehicle, fixing up a car, or maybe you do some of your own work over there to help save some of your money there. Well, ASAP Used Auto Parts can help you out over there too. Just stop by their location right across the Dudach on the west side of Eau Claire, off of Claremont Avenue over there. So if you need that oil change, you need some tires, hit up ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. All right, so the poll question is now up on Facebook. Or I shouldn't say the poll question. The latest matchup in our bracket challenge is up there. Reminder: bracket. All of these players, all these athletes were nominated by you listeners. I didn't pick them. Brandon threw out some names for the Brewers, but ultimately they were all picked by you, the listeners. So if you think somebody should be on there, should have nominated them, and every player on here got multiple nominations. There was not a single out of all these 64 athletes, out of all these 64 players, there was not one with just one vote. So we didn't have to do tiebreakers or anything like that. Everybody got multiple votes on there. So, and then whoever wins this whole thing is going to be decided by you, the listeners. So you can vote right now for our latest bracket challenge, bracket matchup. Larry Sanders versus Steve Stricker, former Bucks player and current Champions Tour golfer right now. We still have a little bit more time with that Darrell Bevel and Al Toon matchup. And I'll tell you right now, the Darrell Bevel and Al Toon Twitter matchup, we've gotten some more votes. But right now, it's still 50-50 on Twitter, still too close to call. So we've got about an hour left on that one if you haven't voted yet. If it is going to be 50-50, we may have to force Brandon to be the tiebreaker over there. But it looks like Toon is still leading by just 2 votes. Even though we've gotten more votes coming in here, it looks like Al Toon is still leading this thing by just 2 votes over Darrell Bevel, who will move on to the next round in our Badger region over there. So let's catch up on a couple texts if the texting line wants to load up for me. Here we go. We got a couple to go here. Texter, how can those be earned runs when with Terang's error? Shouldn't some be unearned? I'm assuming you're talking about the first inning there, Texter, when it looked like Terang could have probably had a double play there, then could have escaped the first inning, the Machado with that home run. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. But for some reason, Brewers didn't get charged with an error. Brewers didn't get charged with an error throughout the whole game there. So Bryce gets charged with all those runs. So that's how the scorers scored it out in the game last night. So we've got texter here, first time texter. Is it? I think first time texter. Duke from Chippewa Falls. Wasn't a huge baseball fan until my first trip to Miller Park in the early 2000s. I think that just being there, seeing the game in person, got me hooked. G-Man said when he got to play on the same field that Hank Aaron played on at Carson Park in Eau Claire. So keep these stories coming. What got you hooked into what got you hooked into sports? Was it just because of a parent? Was it because of somebody else? Was it because of a moment? Was it watching somebody out there? We all have that story. Share it with us. All right. So hit us up with those texts or comment on the video stream if you'd like. So Brewers rest of this series with the Padres coming up here. We talked a little bit about Colin Ray. He's going to get the start tonight. But then Carlos Rodriguez is going to get his 3rd career start tomorrow, and perhaps a big one for Rodriguez. because his first couple starts haven't gone exactly, how he hoped to begin his career. I'm not sure how high of expectations the Brewers had with Rodriguez, but and I don't know if a great outing from him is going to keep him into the rotation when you've got some guys starting to come back and that's or getting close to coming back, but maybe just for a confidence booster. Hopefully, Carlos Rodriguez can go out there and have himself a nice performance tomorrow night. But in his first two games, been charged with two losses. You go back to Toronto, 3 2/3. I know Pat Murphy said in that game that they were hoping that he would at least be able to get through six, and he was only able to get 3 2/3. But 7 hits, couple earned runs, and then the Angels game 4 earned runs and 4 2/3 of an inning. But then on Sunday, we get Tobias Myers again, another guy who has been, stepping up to the challenge in this pitching department with this pitching staff. Tobias Myers is another guy who he's been great. I mean, he's been really good in his last couple starts here. 3-0 in his last 3 games. He's gone 6 1/3, 8 innings, only 1 earned run in his last 3 games there. I mean, he has been a huge boost to this team. You look at what he has done in June with that 3-0 record and a .44 ERA so far. I mean, he's bounced back from May, where he appeared in 5 games and had a 5.94 ERA. And a lot of that was, bookended with his game against the Cubbies, where he had 4 earned runs, gave up a couple dingers, and then the final game against the White Sox, where he had 5 earned runs. But those 3 games in between there, 1 earned run, 0, 1. So, and then one of those was only 1 inning on there. But Tobias Myers overall this year, again, another guy that we probably didn't know a whole lot about, gets called up again because of injuries back in April. Gets called to make the start, and his last 3, he's been awesome. He's been great, and I think he's solidified his spot in the rotation as of now, or for the rest of the season. Excuse me. I think he's easily solidified that with his last 3 outings. So I'm kind of excited to see what else can Tobias Myers do? Is this something that he could continue to do for the rest of the season? Is this something that what we've seen in these last 3 games, is this going to be kind of the norm? Knowing he's not probably going to go out every single time and throw 7 innings and no earned runs. I mean, there's going to be hiccup games. It happens to every single pitcher. But if he's going to go out there and be a reliable starter, I'm excited to see what else Tobias Myers has in store here. And one of the questions that we've kind of thrown out there when it comes to the trade deadline and starters, do they look for a starter that they have some control on, or would they look for just a rental for this year and maybe that's a veteran? I kind of wonder, does the Robert Gasser injury now, knowing that it's probably going to be 12 months, if we assume it's going to be 12 months, wonder now if they're like, okay, maybe we want to get a pitcher that we have a little bit more control over. Maybe somebody, that we have, whether it's an arbitration thing where, the player's got a year left, couple years left of arbitration. Maybe it's somebody who's already under contract or such. Does that even factor into Matt Arnold's thinking when they're out there looking at the trade deadline, looking at some potential targets out there for a starting pitcher? Because it's safe to say Robert Gasser's not pitching. Again, I know they said a lot will depend on once they get in there, and he's going to have surgery, I think they said on Monday. And a lot's going to depend on when they get in there and see what all they have to kind of fix that. But, I mean, the narrative is, the talk is it's going to be 12 months. And that doesn't mean necessarily, all right, 12 months and he's going to be pitching at the big leagues. So, I mean, you're talking maybe we don't see Robert Gasser until, August next year, 2025? Possibly. So does that factor in to some potential, trade targets where maybe the Brewers, hey, We want a pitcher that we know we're going to have for next year for some depth purposes too. Because let's be honest with ourselves too. We don't know how Brandon Woodruff's going to come back next year. We don't know how he's going to look. That's a major injury. And there's still some questions and there's still some concerns of how he's going to look, what type of pitcher he's going to be. Is he going to be a guy that maybe he just can't be a starter anymore because shoulder can't last that long? Maybe he transitions to the bullpen. We don't know what Brandon Woodruff's going to be like next year. So who are your starters? Not to overlook this season, but maybe, Freddie Peralta, hopefully Aaron Ashby. Who knows about D.L. Hall right now? Is he going to be a starter? I think they still want him to be a starter. But this factors in maybe into some potential moves at the trade deadline for that starter, not only for this year, but maybe for next year to kind of help protect them at that point too. All right, just a few more minutes to the top here. So we'll get back to some more Brewers chat here with Brandon coming up a little bit later on. We've got Dr. Crow inside the training room, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine coming up just past 7 o'clock. Also, don't forget, you can submit your own cream of the crops. Who are your cream of the crops from this past week and such? Make your picks by hitting us up with a message, all right? Doesn't have to necessarily be in the sports world. Could be something in your own life if you want. If that's what works out for you, that's fine. Send them on over, all right? It's kind of your way maybe to give a shout out to anybody or anything out there. So send those on over. We'll do that. We've also got a little local sports roundup. We'll catch up with Brandon and such. I know the prep season's over with, but we still got some stuff going on, right, in the summer and such. Eau Claire Express games. I know we got some Legion baseball action going on. So we'll catch up with Brandon on a little bit of that. Speaking of the Express, they are now visiting the Badlands Big Sticks. They had the off day yesterday, so they're on the road right now for the next few days here. 2 games against the Badlands Big Sticks in North Dakota. Then they'll work their way back over here. Got a stop at Wilmer for Sunday, Monday against the Stingers, and then back home against Thunder Bay for a couple games, and then they have the Wausau Woodchucks coming back for a home and away, and then La Crosse home and away to finish up. Can't believe I'm saying this, to finish up the month of June already here. So, but we'll catch up on all that local stuff with Brandon coming up in the next hour. Like I said, we might throw a little football talk in here too. NBA wise, JJ Redick's going to be the coach of the Lakers, if that's something that you care about. Got the draft coming up and such, but not. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. JJ and LeBron do a podcast together. We'll see if JJ. I don't want to say he's not going to work out just because he's a former player, then turned broadcaster, jumping into coach, because we've seen it work out before, whether it's been coaches or whether it's been general managers. We've seen them work. We've seen them where they haven't worked. So I don't want to make any claims right now, but I don't know. I don't know. So Stanley Cup tonight. If you want to make your picks, do you think Edmonton forces a Game 7? Do you think they can get that win in Edmonton tonight to force a Game 7? That'd be an epic comeback, down 3-0 to force a Game 7, which would be on Monday. What do you think? Make your picks. Play along with us, all right? We'll make our picks coming up in our picks and predict segments a little bit later on in the program. So, man, I hope we get a Game 7 for a Stanley Cup final. Game 7 in a final? God. Especially when one team was up 3-0, another team makes that epic comeback. Oh, man. I want it to happen just so I can watch it on Monday night. Because I got to imagine that's going to be just can you imagine being in a Game 7 in a championship series? The amount of nerves that have to be going through you. I mean, your stomach's just got to be twisting and turning. Like, I want to experience that. I would love to experience something like that. That'd be so cool. All right. One in, we got 2 more to go. Let's begin the second hour with a little inside the training room coming up after these quick news updates.
Per Show, where sports passion meets expert analysis. Dan's encyclopedic knowledge and infectious passion for all things sports is both impressive and sad.
I have many leather-bound books.
So get ready to laugh, cheer, and maybe even facepalm a few times.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
It's the Dan Kasper Show.
Second hour on this rainy start to your Friday morning. Again, depending on where you are listening to us from. Don't know if Tom from across the pond over there, if it's raining in England or not, but it's raining here in Eau Claire. So, we're going to get back to some more Brewers chat coming up here. We'll catch up with sports editor from the Chippewa Herald, Mr. Brandon Berg, as well. So we got that coming up. We'll announce another matchup in our most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete bracket of all time. We have those 64 players / athletes. Well, I mean, a little less than 64 because as voted on by you, the listeners, we've got a few people that have already moved on. Still a little too close to call between Daryl Bevel and Al Toon. So you got about an hour left to get those votes in on Facebook and Twitter. Let's begin this second hour, though, with our doctor.
Paging Dr. Crow. Breaking down the latest in sports injuries. It's time for Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow. On the Dan Kasper Show.
He is Dr. Crow from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for our Inside the Training Room this morning. Staying dry this morning, Austin? That a boy. Hey, I want to lead off with Robert Gasser, who we talked about last week, but now we know what he's going to do after a third opinion. He is going to have surgery on that elbow. Now, they're saying 12 months. They're kind of saying 12 months right now, but they'll know more once they, lack for a better phrase, get in there and kind of open it up from what I was reading. So, I mean, is that still a typical recovery time? Even if he didn't tear the UCL, but he's still having surgery, it's a similar recovery time with that? Oh man, so I mean, if we're talking year, I mean, we might not. That doesn't mean he's going to pitch right away June from now either, because you got the rehab process after that, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. For the Dodgers, a couple of big injuries. Let's start with Mookie Betts. He fractured his hand after getting hit in it 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured hand. Now, there's a lot of bones in that hand, right? That might be kind of hard to figure out which ones he could have broke, I would imagine. I'll have to double check. Yeah, I'm not sure. And also they have a pitcher, Yamamoto, who has a strained rotator cuff. Now, when it comes to a pitcher and a strained rotator cuff, I got to imagine that's probably a little bit more trickier than say a position player, perhaps. Right. I want to go back to Tommy John here because we've talked a lot about ACL and we've talked a lot about how that recovery time and it's changed and the procedure has Tommy John surgery over the years adapted or changed, or has it been pretty consistent, or has there been any new, like, how do I want to phrase this, new ways of doing it, or rehabbing? Now with that brace, is that similar to like the Achilles brace sort of thing? Okay. Okay. So this might be a really stupid question, so get ready. But like when we talk about like advancements and surgeries like ACLs or Tommy Johns and all that, how do people like you, like, how do doctors practice that, or how do they come up? What I got to imagine, you got to practice. Is it cadavers or what's the process like that go through? So I got one more weird question. This comes from my kid Hudson, though. Okay, so let me start this off by saying, have you seen the movie Rookie of the Year? He wants to know, is that possible? What Harry Rowan Gardner did with his with the tight tendons and all that. All right, I will let him know. So he's been binge watching that twice the last couple days right now. I know, right? So, hey, before I let you go though, this morning, I was reading in the news about the new CV co-op. Could you fill us in a little bit about that? Hmm. Awesome, awesome stuff. Thank you so much for all that and for all you do, but man, and thank you for always hopping on Friday morning with us, buddy. But I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give Hudson the bad news. I don't know if he's planning on breaking his arm so he can do that or what, but he was just like, is that possible, Dad? I'm like, I'll ask Dr. Crow tomorrow. So yeah, yeah. I don't want to go through that either. So Dr. Crow, thanks as always, buddy. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will catch up with you again soon. Okay, sir? Happy birthday, man. Well, tell him I got to see him back on the golf course. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk soon. There you go. Dr. Crow inside the training room, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine this morning. Let's take a quick break. We'll go from Dr. Crow to Brandon. He's coming up next. Coming soon, we're going to have some free teas to be handing out whenever we're out. It's on the mobile man cave. Big shout out to our friends from Resonance Branding Company who are creating those. Those are coming soon. So whenever we're out and about, whether Brandon and I are maybe doing a show from somewhere or maybe we're hanging out at a tailgate party, we're going to have some new teas to be handing out, T-shirts to be handing out to listeners and such. So be on the lookout for that. But a big thanks to Resonance Branding Company for that. If you ever need some swag, T-shirts, hats, whatever the case may be, they've done a backpack for Hutsy and I. They got it all. Best prices, awesome people to work with. Matt, Ben, Eric, the entire crew over there. And don't forget to check out the Swag Cave too if you want some show or podcast apparel. If you want that link, just hit me up with a text and I'll send it over to you. So, but Resonance Branding Company, the official swag provider for the program and the podcast. Still a little too close to call, but Altoon's starting to creep ahead of Daryl Bevel in our latest matchup right now. So still got about, let's say, 30 minutes to vote. You got to go to Facebook or Twitter to vote in that poll. That's the only way your votes count on this thing. But Altoon looks like he's slightly, it's still, we're talking maybe 3 votes difference right now. So if you want to get that vote in, go ahead and do so. We've got the latest bracket up. I kind of figured it was probably going to go this way, or latest matchup, but Steve Stricker out to a very early lead over Larry Sanders in our Bucks/Open bracket. We are going to unveil another matchup, and it's going to come from the Brewers region, which is perfect timing for Brandon. Brandon, I don't know if you've been following along, but a couple Brewers have moved on already. Surhoff defeated Burnitz in the opener, and your boy Lyle Overbay defeated Mike Caldwell. So we're gonna have a big one coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, though. That's gonna be right in your wheelhouse, and it's been one. And you can talk, instead of just nodding your head. So
Fine.
I probably should turn your mic on though if I want you to talk, right? So
Fine.
There we go. So
Sure.
we'll announce that in the 8 o'clock hour. I got a texter from somebody that has a question for us. Question for you and Brandon. Your softball team is up. This is from Rodney. Is up 12-9. You have hit a single, triple, and a home run. I'm assuming this is slow pitch softball. You've hit a triple, single, and a home run. Last at bat, you hit a gap or a for sure triple. Do you stop at second so you can brag that you hit a cycle? Do you want to answer before I answer this, Brandon?
I'll go first because I think mine will be a little bit quicker. Number one, that's nothing I ever have to worry about.
Okay.
But no, I don't know if I've ever heard of that's not something that I don't think would worry me too much.
I've never heard of anybody in slow pitch softball bragging about a cycle.
I think I would rather have 2 triples because I think that's rare.
Yeah. I don't think there is such thing.
But just from me, I don't think I would probably still go. Plus, I mean, that's still in slow pitch softball. That's still a relatively close score.
12-9, a 3-run lead is nothing in slow pitch softball. So
heck, my team's blowing much bigger leads than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So no, I would probably keep going. I would say for me.
First of all, we're not bragging about a cycle in slow pitch softball. We're not bragging about a whole lot of stuff in slow pitch softball. And you and I have played for many years and have been on the end of a lot of other stuff there. But no, I'm not bragging. I'm like you. If I get another triple, give me another triple. Shows off the speed there. So no, I ain't bragging about a cycle in slow pitch softball.
If I get a double that's not a triple these days, that's probably more of by design just because of my my diminishing speed.
Right, exactly. So there. Don't know if the texter was the one open that he was bragging, but no, don't do that. So anyways, how you doing, Brand?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm okay. So bottom of the hour already. Brewers. We're going to chat a little bit about them. Don't forget to send in your cream of the crops. First of all, let me go back to the bracket here. Did you vote for the Bevel Altoon one?
I did.
Okay. Then I can't use you as a tiebreaker vote.
No,
in case we get there.
No, I did.
I don't think I did, so I might have to.
Okay.
I'll have to double
check.
That
if you could always flip a coin or something.
We might have to, which I don't want to.
No.
Or maybe I'll go to the next room and ask somebody just to pick somebody. They probably don't even know who they are, but that's where it's going to go. So, all right. So Brewers last night falling to the. You know what? Really quick, I want to throw this out. So I was talking about it in the first hour. Obviously, a lot of talk has been Willie Mays the last few days, rightfully so. And kind of was talking about like what got you into sports, like what was the thing that got you into sports? Because I was reading a quote from Reese Hoskins that said I probably wouldn't be playing baseball if it wasn't for Willie Mays because his dad was a big Willie Mays fan. And I think we all, even as fans, have a story like that, right? Like what got you into sports? I'm going to add a little bit more to that. Who was the player you wanted to emulate when you were a kid? So think about that for a little bit.
Okay.
Rest of you chime in too. Doesn't matter the sport. Who is the player that you wanted to be or you emulated? Whether it was baseball is going to be the easy one, right? Because maybe when we were kids, we emulated their batting stance. I think a lot of us as kids did that. I mean, I remember as a kid going to my buddy's house, one-on-one baseball. He had this big pine tree. Okay. That was the backstop. And it was like the Nerf one. Nerf baseball, Nerf bat. And it was like if you were a pitcher and you hit the tree, that was a strike. If it didn't almost matter where, but if it hit the tree, it was a strike. Didn't, it was a ball. But what we do is we would take a notebook and then we would draft our teams. But then, like, if you drafted somebody who was a left-handed hitter, you had to bat left-handed. And then you had to emulate that batting stance. Those are some of the best summers ever doing stuff like that. But, yeah, it was one-on-one baseball. And obviously you did Nerf, so it wouldn't go as far. But if you really hit it, you'd get a good one over there. And it was just pretty much a race. Who could get the ball and get back in time. So, baseball is probably the easy one for that because you're trying to emulate batting stances and that. So we'll get back to that. Think about that for a little bit. So, but rest of you can chime in. Text me 715-830-1912. Brandon's was probably correct counsel in all of his unique stances and such. So, Brewers, though, last night, looking at the last couple games, Colin Ray is a guy we've been talking about. Has he been one of the – is he the brightest spot so far in this starting rotation?
I think maybe when you look at expectations versus reality so far,
yeah,
Freddie Peralta's coming off really good start, and he's been very inconsistent. Maybe not pitching as deep into games as he would like, but he's still been good. I think looking pure numbers-wise, he's still been like the best starter on the staff, but there's also a much higher bar there.
Right.
Last year, Colin Ray kind of bounced around between the rotation when needed as a long reliever. And even when he kind of returned to the team in the offseason, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of, ballyhoo with it. Just kind of like, oh, okay, that's fine. But, he's someone that more often than not is going to give you at least 5 innings. And usually when he leaves the game, you're going to be in a position to possibly win that game or at the very least still be in it. And, with the way the injuries have gone with the team's rotation right now, that's kind of a godsend every 5th day.
Yeah. And he has surpassed my expectations so far. I know next Thursday's the exact halfway mark through the season and that, but
does that mean next Friday we can look at
we could do report cards?
We're going to have to do report cards, but also we're going to have to look at our predictions.
Oh yeah. I'm way off on some of mine. Although I did I did say steals. It was my bold prediction. Top 3 in the league in steals.
Yeah, you did.
So I'll run with that one. But yeah, we could do that because that'll be the last one because I'm off the following week. So just a little note.
I'm peering at the schedule.
That first week of July.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
So it's the day after the 4th.
Yeah.
The 5th.
Yeah. But nonetheless, yeah. To me, I'd throw Tobias Myers in there too because what he's done these last 3 games has been pretty darn remarkable too. For again, a guy that you did, but I think probably the general fan base didn't really know a whole lot or didn't probably even know who Tobias Myers was when he was first called up.
Well, I can't say I knew a ton.
But you probably knew the name, right?
Yeah, I knew the name.
I think a lot of people probably didn't. And that's fair. Baseball, there's a lot of guys in the minor leagues, right?
Right.
There's a lot of dudes down there. We don't always hear about, the Jackson Cheerios who are just waiting in the minors to get up there. But I mean, is it fair to say right now that Tobias and Colin Ray are kind of at the top there? Freddie Peralta, I know he had a good performance there, but it looked like vintage. I'm just a little concerned about Freddie Peralta right now, just because I don't think he has hit my expectations so far.
No, but I also think you're grading on a curve between what you're expecting from these, different
That's
pitchers.
True. Yeah.
So it's, it's not like you have a flat.
Somebody has a higher expectation than these others too. Yeah.
Correct. And that comes with, previous performance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, I would say that those two are more. Yeah, I would say that they're more surprised. They're more exceeding expectations versus Freddie Peralta. But yeah, you're just looking at different levels.
Was it you that said last week too with Freddie Peralta he's like a Giovanni Gallardo where he's maybe not a number one, but he's like a 2 sort of thing?
I think so. Like he can pitch like one.
Mhm.
Like there's certain things that like in certain periods of time where he's pitched really well, and like he pitches similar to what you would see out of like a Burns or a Woodruff, but the difference between good and great is consistency.
Mhm.
And that, the reason that those guys were, maybe a peg higher, at least right now, was because they were pitching at that level a little bit more consistently.
Mhm. Yeah. So, all-star voting's going on right now. Sure seems like Yelly's going to be in there. Contreras is going to be in there. If there was a pitcher to go in, though, it's got to be Brian Hudson, right? I mean, you want to talk about another guy. Here's my question, a little bit down the road now. But the way Brian Hudson's pitching, it's not saying he's going to be this guy, but it's almost giving me reminders of Josh Hader a few years ago where he's coming in. He can give you a couple innings, 7th inning, 6th, but those tight situations where he's coming in too, where there's guys on base and that. Is he a potential future closer for this team, knowing Devin Williams' future might be up in the air?
Could be.
Do you think he could transition into that?
I think so, but I think there's also a few other people that could too. So I mean, he could still be in that fireman role like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's options. I mean, you're just gonna kind of wait and see it over a longer stretch of time.
Yeah. I mean, how surprising has it been for, again, a guy very little career, right? Dodgers last year for maybe a handful of innings and such, and then he comes in. I mean, he's a big dude. He's like, what, 6'8"? He's kind of lanky up there, 6'8", 220. But, I mean, that's impressive to me is like when he comes into those tight situations and he's not fathomed by it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big jump to make to go from a guy that pitched a little bit with the Dodgers and kind of bounced around a little bit. I think he was in the Cubs organization at one point too, and
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers had a lot of faith in him. Obviously, they recognized something when they made that trade,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, to say it's worked out better than they hoped is an understatement.
So with Robert Gasser's injury now that we know he's going to be out about 12 months, let's say, and something that we've thrown out there when it comes to the trade deadline, I think we all know that or are assuming that the Brewers are going to look at pitching. And one of the questions I've been throwing out the last couple of weeks is it a pitcher that is going to be a rental for this year? Do they want to target one of those where it might be a little bit cheaper, or do they want to target a pitcher that maybe they have control over, some arbitration or whatever? Does Robert Gasser's injury affect that now, knowing that you're not going to have Robert Gasser to begin next year? So maybe you want to bring in a pitcher that you have another year left with him. Do you think that Gasser injury influences that decision at all?
Maybe, but I also think too that there's other pieces in the rotation where you're kind of you still would like a little bit more longer term certainty
because we don't know about Brandon Woodruff. Let's be real, we don't know what he's
going to. That's to me that's going to be like whether he comes back or not, it's going to be like finding a $10 bill in your pocket. Like if you find it, you're excited about, but you're
I love your analogies.
But every time you put on your pants, you're not thinking, oh, there's probably a $10 bill in my back pocket.
Yeah.
If you get something out of it, good. If not, that's okay. That's kind of the expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I still think you're looking at the group in general and thinking, okay, well, you need more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I'm overthinking this because at one part I was like, do they want a guy where they're going to have a couple of years left, but do they want to give their younger guys starts? But now with Gasser being done, maybe until July of next year, and with the uncertainty of Brandon Wood, I don't know. Like, I know I'm kind of overthinking things here a little bit, but I think we are all assuming. I mean, it's to the point where I think Brewers fans are going to be disappointed if we don't trade for a pitcher by the deadline.
I think so. I think that's a fair expectation.
Mm-hmm. Or whether it's a starter. In fact, I think if it's just a reliever, there might be some disappointed Brewers fans.
I think so. Because I still think you could. I mean, Bryce Wilson's pitched well as a starter, but I still think he's someone like you. If you got a starter and he just kind of got bumped back into being a multi-inning guy, I don't think you would get much in the way of complaining because he's been good there too.
Yeah,
I think at this point you're kind of looking to, maybe raise your ceiling a little bit there because, we've seen some starts from like Carlos Rodriguez, but like there's really no one now that Gasser kind of graduated quote unquote to major leagues that like. The next closest kind of like high profile start for them is like Jake Mizrowski. And he's still a ways away. I mean, he's been very up or down in the minors, so he's not. I wouldn't say he's imminent to make the start. I mean, there's a couple other guys that could call up, but nobody that's like, oh, that's the next one, kind of a thing. Like, oh, that's someone we've been watching for a while, and we have a spot for him.
Right. I am going to put you on a spot with this one. Don't do that. I hope everybody can see that on the video. And I know it's a little overreaction here, perhaps, but it's kind of fun. Cubs stink this year so far. Offensively, they stink so far this year, right? I think that's fair to say. Dansby Swanson's not doing very well. You look at some of their high-priced offense players, not doing well. Bellinger, I mean, what, 260? He's got 9 home runs, but maybe he's still – I don't know. Brewers' offense is doing well, though. And Cubs' offense wasn't bad last year. I mean, their offense was better last year than what it is this year. There's a common theme in this whole thing, Brandon. Is it the manager's philosophy on offense?
That's it's tough. I can't answer that, like, because we don't know. I mean, you could look at that, but that's might not necessarily be the reason. I mean, I think being more aggressive on the bases, especially with this largely younger team, is something a lot of people, including myself, wanted to see. Even going back to last year, and maybe it's just one of those things where, like, I mean, who's to say? Like, I can't give a firm answer on that just because we don't know. I will say that I do think that the style that the Brewers are playing with this year does seem to be more in line with kind of just what you see out of Pat Murphy just on a day-to-day basis. If you're trying to match up, like, stylistically what a manager kind of, like how they act, how they feel, like he's a more aggressive guy. Like, to me, that I wouldn't flat out say, like, oh, it's Council's fault they sucked, but, like, I would be more likely to just say, I'd be more likely to credit Pat Murphy for them being good, or at least the change or the philosophy being what it is, versus saying, well, it was this way because of this guy.
It's just, and it's easy to do this, and I'm doing it right now. When you look at a Brewers team that has the same hitting coaches, same coaches all across, the hitting coaches that were criticized last year from Brewers fans, hitting coaches that have been criticized the last few years, and then all of a sudden it's different this year. You go to the Cubs, who have a negative run differential this year, and they were better last. What's the difference? You're looking at that's generalizing it to the extreme level, and I understand that, but it's still not hard to kind of try to connect some dots here. Was there a philosophy that just isn't offensively working that much?
It's a good question. I mean, looking at the Brewers, what's different? I mean, you got different first baseman, Rhys Hoskins. And Rhys Hoskins he's had some struggles since he came off the injured list, but still, like, to say it, like, still Rhys Hoskins, what he's done so far has still been better than what the Brewers have gotten out of first base the last few years, even if he's not quite where he wants to be yet. Second base, Bryce Terang, big time step forward, and part of that could just be a young player getting their first taste of the majors and struggling and then making changes.
Yep.
Shortstop, Willie Adames, his strikeouts have actually gone down since he's been with the Brewers each year. So, I mean, he's been better this year, but still, I mean, you kind of know at this point you're going to get good defense and kind of hit or miss hitting out of Willie Adames. Third base, obviously, with Joey Ortiz, that's a big difference. I mean,
even Yelich's numbers are high. Not home run kind of slowed down after his injury, but he's getting on base.
But still, and it's still his OPS is around 900, which is really good.
Yeah.
Center field. I mean, they've. I think the thing with the Brewers' offense is they kind of raise the floor a little bit, because then you kind of look at the rest of those outfielders, Sal Frelick, Blake Perkins, Jackson Churio. The first two more so than Churio, like, they're around league average-ish offensively, and that's not a bad thing. Churio's a little bit below that, but he's shown some signs here recently. So I just look at this offense right now, and then obviously William Contreras a catcher. And there's not a lot in the way of, like, weak links. Like, even if you're getting down to, like, 7, 8, 9 in the lineup, it's not uncommon to see them still put some runners on base for the top. Whereas, sometimes in the past, the offense has maybe been a little bit more top heavy or dependent on a couple of guys at the top, because, well, when everyone's not producing, it just kind of puts a little bit of pressure on everybody else. It's kind of like the Brewers right now with runners in scoring position. Just it's a struggle right now. Early on this year, it was it seemed easy, and that just kind of comes and goes in spurts.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, like, and I go back to one of the I don't know who said it, but it was in an article where they said Pat Murphy's kind of empowered the assistants more, like giving them more responsibilities too, and that's where I just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to connect dots because that's just how my mind works when I see something, regardless of any level, whether it's sports or something like, and I try to figure out the why, like, or the how, and I keep going back to that one central figure of it all. It's like that, that meme or that GIF, whatever. You got the picture in the middle and all the spider webs coming off, and
Oh,
you're connecting the dots and all
Charlie
that.
Kelly from It's Always
Yes.
Sunny in Philadelphia with
Yeah.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, you're trying to like, oh, it all leads back to, that. And it's council sort of thing. I know it's generalizing a lot, but it's just, to me, it's very intriguing to see.
The timing of it is interesting.
Yes. Like, I mean, even in just year one right away, the complete changes for both the front on the offensive side. It's just, I don't know. It's fascinating, maybe to me, and it's something we might have to revisit at the end of the year to kind of see how
because we
everything
want to see
stands.
how this offense does in the second half. If
Right.
they kind of regress back to what they were last year, then
Mhm.
then you can kind of see like, okay, well, they had a hot couple months.
Yep. Or even postseason, how they do too, right?
Right, and the thing with postseason though too is that's always a little bit tougher because it's one thing to have a bad 3 games versus to have a bad month.
Right. That's a good point.
And that's always the thing with baseball is no matter what happens in the regular season, if you kind of falter in over 2 or 3 games in the playoffs, which remember is 2 or 3 games, that'd be like having a bad weekend in July. That's what people remember. And it was, hey, the offense is good all year, but if the offense doesn't do anything in the playoffs, well, then the offense really wasn't that good. Well, or maybe they just had a bad weekend. Like, and they just, it was a bad time to have a bad time.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. Yeah. And I think we're ready to call one of the matchups already. Actually, maybe both of them. But we'll be back in just a few minutes to finish up the second hour. Upgrade your flooring game this summer with our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center. Stop on by whether you're looking for some new flooring in your home, your office, the man cave, the rec room, maybe cabin or such, or if you're looking to maybe do some updating with your shower, some shower tile and such, you should go check out Carpet City Flooring Center's Facebook page and get inspired about some projects that you could do. And Carpet City Flooring Center can help you out. Just not sure what colors or what style would work. Hey, they'll help you out over there. Aaron's really good at that over there at Carpet City Flooring Center. The entire team, Jason, Ben, everybody over there, they're just awesome people to work with. So if you're in the market, if you're looking to upgrade your flooring game, stop by our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. I had a texter say emulated Ken Griffey Jr. backwards hat and all. I think we all kind of did. I had I'll call it the Payne Stewart hat because that's what I called it as a kid. But you know what I'm talking about, right? The Payne Stewart hat, the Samuel L. Jackson hat.
Yep.
I remember there was a shop in Medford. It was like a clearance store sort of thing. And they had those hats with Griffey's swing.
Oh, cool.
And I bought that. And you had to wear it backwards because the swing was on there too. So, yeah. Our friend Richie, can you guess who his was?
Terry Glenn.
What?
I know he had a Terry Glenn jersey, so that's why I did.
Kenny Lofton fostered my need for speed. Did Richie even have speed?
Yeah, he did.
Come on, you can pick on him. He lives in Madison now. So
he did.
So keep those coming. Tyler says Brewers with Counsell always seem terrible with situational hitting and not aggressive on the bases. I think you're not wrong. So time will tell a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So who was a player? So we're looking like who was a player that you emulated. It could be any sport over there. But because you collected cards when you were a kid too, right? Was there a certain player you collected or were you more just like, because I remember as a kid, like, yes, you would go to a shop sometimes and they would have individual cards. Not as much as it is now.
No.
Where you had, eBay wasn't a thing, kids, back in when we were kids. But, I had a weird sound in there. I didn't know if we got cut off with a weather alert. But I remember, like, my binders, whatever I got, I'd put it in a binder. So I probably had, like, 50 David Robinsons or Karl Malones or whatever, and it was always by team. And I was just hoping I would get a Shaq. I was hoping I would get a Penny. You're just kind of like that. But was there a player you really wanted to
Not really.
try to collect as a kid? Or was it
No,
mostly
I was just
team
kind of no, I think I just kind of across the board just like wanted, because as much as I liked certain teams or players when I was a kid, I also just like watching. Like it could be Sunday afternoon and there could be a Raiders game on NBC late, and that'd be like, oh, it's football. I'm watching. They could be, I don't care about Raiders Seahawks, but hey, it's on. So, so I think in general, I was also just kind of like trying to just hoover up as much as I could.
Yeah, I think I had a ton of Jim Kelly cards as a kid. There was just those certain ones that you felt like you always got out there. Now it's easier. You can just go and pick out whoever you want to collect, sort of thing. And part of me is like that does kind of lose a little bit of the luster of like trying to like you open up a pack like, oh yeah, dude, I got one, that sort of stuff. So yeah, Hudson's all into that now too, and I'm starting to get back into it a little bit too.
Reignite the flame.
It is, but I don't know. I don't think I'm doing it right.
What do you mean?
I don't care about what a card's worth. Like some like you going for that big ticket. Give me the dollar ones. I'll go through the dollar bin and just try to collect as many as that player. I'm not in it for scoring a big hit, sort of thing. I just that doesn't. First of all, that's expensive to try to get into, and that's just. What do I do with if I buy a box and get a bunch of cards that I don't care who that person is or watching that, and then it just takes up space. I got a shelf now in the man cave. I call it the card library, where I've got certain binders of players on there. I'm going to start robbing you out. Not a bad one.
No.
You know what? There was a shop I was at. I kid you not. Probably like 50 different Young cards, buck a piece. Robin Young cards. I know it's not probably worth a lot, but I mean, come on, it's Robin Young, right?
Right.
Like I don't know. So that's why I'm probably doing it wrong. I don't care. I don't care at that point. So you should get back in the game. A buddy of mine texted me yesterday. Sent me a picture. He's like, he used to as a kid. He's the same age as us. And he doesn't collect or anything anymore. He's like, he just finally pulled out his binders. And he's like trying to figure out how much they're worth. And eBay, it's awful because, and he's right. One card somebody's trying to sell it for 500, and then another guy's like, yeah, you could take it for $5.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he sent me a picture. He's got like 3 Frank Thomas. This is one page. 3 Frank Thomas. Let me bring it up. He might be even listening right now. So 3 Frank Thomas rookies and a Willie Mays card.
Oh.
And then he responds by saying, I should really go through some of my good ones and see if they're worth anything. He's got a bunch of Hank Aaron's. First of all, I want to know, he's the same age as me. How did he get Willie Mays and Hank Aaron cards when we were kids? But then he's just like randomly, he's like, yeah, I've got all. I'm like, you do need to get those checked out. So, but yeah, it was just like, he sent me a page. And I'm like, you talk about the Willie Mays? He's like, yeah, but also, I'm like, dude, I didn't even know that as a kid. That he's my best friend. And I didn't know he had all those
He's
cards
holding
as a
out on
kid.
you.
I know. So, dude, you got to get those. Because he was actually looking at trying to get them graded, which is just, if you ever looked into that, that's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly expensive. And I don't know if I trust sending it in the mail and getting it all bent up and all that stuff. C-Bomb says Kirby Puckett even pushed his butt out to try to walk like him. I think he still does. If anybody knows who C-Bomb is. Yeah. All right, we got another Brewer matchup coming up. This one is going to spark some debates because it did when the bracket was released. And this is really going to put Brandon on the spot with this matchup. Final hour on this Friday morning. What up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you are tuning in on this rainy start. Sounds like it's going to be a rainy start throughout the whole weekend right now. So, by the way, what are you doing Sunday? You got anything Sunday?
No.
We might have to go golfing Sunday.
Let's go golfing Sunday.
So
let's do it.
We'll talk.
Oh, we'll set that up.
So hopefully it doesn't rain.
Come on, you can't rain now. Dan and I haven't been golfing together outside of
outside the Kasper Classic.
And we haven't even necessarily been golfing together. We've just been golfing at the same time. So come on, Mother Nature, cuss break.
Yes. Speaking of the Kasper Classic, get your team signed up. We only got a couple opened up in the 1:30 slot. We do have a 7:30 one, and a few of you have signed up for that. If you're like, you know what, hey, I can't commit to the whole day, but if you want to do it before work, get your rounds in because you'll be in there quick.
You can speed run it.
Yeah. You can do that too. Well,
we might even interview off the fourth tee.
Hey, you're gonna have live coverage of your round.
You'll have Dan and I, and probably I'm sure some super fun guests as well up on the patio.
Yep.
Like we'll be like your Jim Nance.
We'll try to get a reporter on the course.
Right.
Who's our Vern Lundquist on hole 5 or 6 or something like that? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Behind a tree. And then we can recreate the Tiger and Vern Lundquist photo op out there. But sign up by going to sportstalk1051.com or 715 store. Sponsors, we need you. Prize donations, we need you because all proceeds are going to help fund Backyard Dreams. But a big shout out already to Princeton Valley Golf Course for hosting us, Hy-Vee, Carpet City Flooring Center, Park Ridge Distributing, AJM Automotive Service, The Elbow Room, Muldoon's Menswear, Dudah Gin, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Hannah Sellner Agency, American Family Insurance, Gemco Surfaces, Resonance Branding Company, and Shepke Chiropractic. So think about it. We're just like a week and a half away, and it's a month away already.
I was doing while you were talking. I was doing the math on your calendar. I think it's 6 weeks away.
Yeah. So it's
I've had friends actually this week that were asking me about, like, talking about it.
Sweet.
So people are excited.
We want some more prize donations too. So even if you can't golf, but you want to help out, you can be involved in a bunch of different ways.
Great cause. Fourth year. Yeah. 2021 was the first one.
And I did order the title belts yesterday.
Okay, there we go.
They will be here in a couple weeks. So
are the champions signed up?
The defending champs?
Yes, the defending champions.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good.
They are, yes, they are.
Yes, they golfed afternoon last year.
They did. I might have to put a little strategery there and, try to get them down a peg. Illini, Greg. But big thanks to everybody who has signed up, too, because a lot of signups went fast, as you
They did.
So.
I know I had kind of coordinated with my friends because we have a couple groups, and we were in the 10:30. Or is it 10 or 10:30?
10.
Okay, it's
yes,
10
and 1:30.
Okay,
so yep.
Okay, but we wanted to make sure, like, okay, we're all in that same session together.
Yep.
So we had to coordinate it pretty hard because it's a good problem to have. It was moving quick.
And unless he backs out again this year, but C-Bomb has signed up, so he'll be back after
a hiatus,
skipping last year.
A hiatus?
Yeah. Not sure what that was all about, but he should. I don't know if he's still listening either. So, all right. Should we announce the next matchup? It's up on Facebook and Twitter right now. If you want to vote, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, KASPER Sports. I keep saying K because people still look it up with C. And yeah, I won't go down the story. X and Twitter, whatever you're calling it, at DANKASPER. We're back to the Brewers region. Ben Sheets versus Jeff Jenkins.
Ooh. Yeah.
That was one that when the bracket first got released, we had a couple comments about, like, wow, for a first round matchup. So I didn't put it. The computer did it.
Yeah, so you randomed it, which I think was the fair way to do it. There's going to be some tough matchups, but there's going to be some tough matchups. So
we don't have it seeded or anything like that. It's just it's
if you're the best one, you'll survive.
Yep, exactly. So you can now vote on Facebook and Twitter how that one's going to go. Altoon, by the way, we're calling it now. Altoon edged out Daryl Bevel for the Badger one.
That was a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a little bit different eras, but no, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Steve Stricker is just in a commanding lead right now, which I figured that one was going to happen.
Right.
So, but yeah, Ben Sheets versus Jeff Jenkins. So there you go. Who would you vote for on that one, Brandon? Because if we go back to last Friday, Brandon's mom, you got to go on Facebook or Twitter to vote.
Yeah.
That's your vote counts. You got to make a Facebook page
Right. You
and
can't
follow,
just say it there.
or create a Twitter account.
Have Rocky vote for you.
Who would you vote? Because Jeff Jenkins was kind of a late ad last Friday.
He was.
Ben
but
Sheets was an early ad, but how would you go about
it's
it?
like, I think it comes down to like, I think people know Ben Sheets was good. I just think he's underrated for how good he was.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everybody's going to have their own definition.
Yeah,
of
exactly,
underrated.
and that's why it's open to voting. Like,
Right.
Yep. You come to your conclusions, however you come to your conclusions, and
So it sounds like you would vote for Ben Sheets.
I think I would. Although I was surprised because I think you rattled off some Jeff Jenkins numbers.
Yeah.
And we had it was kind of that way for a few different guys where I think when you think of guys like Sheets, like Jeremy Burnett, you always think of like, okay, they were these big hulking home run hitters, and that's all they did. But then you look at their numbers, it's like it wasn't necessarily that they were home runs or nothing.
Right.
Their strikeout rates were still around 20-ish%, which I get it's changed a little bit in 20 years, kind of how that's viewed, but still, like, that's roughly what Christian Yelich does right now, and I don't think anyone says that Christian Yelich is necessarily strikeout prone.
And a lot depends on the teams they played on too, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're underrated or not.
Yeah.
Let's say.
And these are, the early to mid-ish 2000 Brewers. It wasn't super great until obviously that, that Braun, Fielder, Weeks, Hardy group kind of emerged and kind of lifted the franchise up.
Yeah. Do you think, so let me ask you this. If Jeff Jenkins put his career with that group of Fielder and Braun and all that, is he still viewed underrated? Is he like a Corey Hart to a sense?
Maybe, but also I think the thing is, like, before those guys got there, they were kind of like the best players.
Right.
Like in that stretch of early mid 2000s, like Jeff Jenkins was the Brewers' best player. So, like, on the one hand, like, yeah, he was their best player, but on the other hand, you have to kind of balance that with, okay, but the teams were very good.
Right. Yeah. So, early voting right now, it's close, but Ben Sheets out to an early lead right now for our underrated one. I'm excited to see where this one goes. And here's the thing too. Part of the purpose of this is we want you to debate with your friends on it. So tell your friends about it. Tell your pals, your family, your great-grandparents, whoever it may be, and spark a conversation with them. Have a little banter yourselves. Who would you vote for? Maybe you all would vote for the same one. Maybe you would vote for somebody different. So share it on your pages, on your Facebook profiles or Twitter and all that.
Let people know, yeah.
Yeah, spark a little bit of a conversation here. Yeah, I'm curious to see where this one goes. That's all I'll say. There's another Brewers matchup in here. We might as well say it because it's out there for the public that I'm really curious to see. I think I know where it's going to go, but I think there might be a little bit of pause. Is Jim Gantner and Teddy Higuera?
A couple, older ones. So I think that'll be kind of a good one for some of our older listeners that are obviously familiar with both those guys.
Yep, exactly. I'm just kind of going through some of the other ones here. Packers one. Maybe this one would be a little close because I was surprised his name was mentioned a few times, but Frank Winters versus Almon Green. Frank Winters was mentioned quite a bit, actually, in our nominations.
People love their bags of donuts.
They do. Other than that, I don't know. Well, maybe I'll be surprised. They're going to be closer matchups the later we get into this thing too. Once we start to eliminate and we get fully into the round of 32 and then Sweet 16, then it's going to get tight. It's going to get really tight here. So I honestly don't know if I've got a favorite to win this thing. I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah.
I've got if I did Final Four picks, I think I could probably do it, but I don't know if I've got a national champion type of pick right now.
And I guess this is probably on me for not bringing it up more, but I am a little bummed that I had a suggestion for the kind of the rest group that didn't make it.
Who?
I had mentioned, it would have been last week. Dick Trickle.
You did mention Dick Trickle. Yeah, you were the only one who mentioned
Oh, come on.
Poppycock.
Poppycock.
I was being fair.
You were. Okay, that's good.
I was being
you were,
fair.
Yeah.
And everybody had
Short
multiple votes
track
on there.
legend.
But yeah, that's a good one.
Short track.
There's a few, and I think what else this thing has also sparked is like people forgot like, oh, how come so and so's not on there? And then we'll mention somebody like, oh, I forgot about that one too.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like Selection Sunday, the best that didn't make it or
Right.
who got screwed.
Do we need an NIT for this?
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, definitely there's been other ones that have been missed.
Yep.
And that's why I'm fully putting the blame on everybody
There
else.
we go. Pass the buck.
I'm passing the buck on everybody else because it was all nominated by you, the listeners, and voted on by you, the listeners. Are they still doing the NFL Top 100? Do they still do that show?
I don't know. Like, I know NFL Network's had some changes there.
Yeah. It got so watered down and overdone.
That was always like, once you heard that like the players weren't taking it serious.
Yeah, it lost a lot of credibility.
And it was just something I didn't. It just
initially I was into it.
Yeah,
but then it's like, okay.
Once you saw that they weren't necessarily taking it, and it was good June and July content for them because as much as the NFL wants to try to find things to talk about in June and July, there's just not much.
Right. Yeah. I'm not into it anymore, and I just chuckle. And that's why I always have fun with the phrase as voted on by the players. Because it's like, okay, really, like, the thing is, what year was it that somebody didn't play? Like they were hurt all year, but they still got voted in fairly high. It's like, okay, if the purpose is supposed to be for that season alone, what are we doing here?
Right. You're not saying like, okay, who's the best player, ever, or the best player right now. It's like, well, that's a little bit tougher to gauge than just, okay, who are the best players in 2023?
Right. Yep. So, hey, also we're looking at who are some of the players you maybe emulated when you were a kiddo, when you were younger, who you wanted to be when you were growing up. How did you get to be a fan of sports? And maybe we'll throw in, was there a certain player you collected as a card person too? So keep letting us know. Hit us up with those texts, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got Cream of the Crop also coming up here in just a little bit. You can play along with us. If you want to send in your submissions for Cream of the Crop, hit us up with the text, 715-830-1912. Quick break, and maybe if that button wants to work. It's gotten so overworn. There's smudges on there, fingerprint wear off over there. So, all right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Later this morning, we'll have a quick segment on the Man Cave podcast where we chatted with Lance from our good sponsors at Hy-Vee. A lot of good stuff, a lot of great deals coming down the wire or happening right now at Hy-Vee. So especially with summer going on, if you need to stockpile the pantry or the freezers because the kiddos are staying home with no school and such, take advantage of all the deals that are going on at Hy-Vee, and then double dip too because of those fuel perks, those fuel savers, especially if you're going to be hitting the road for some traveling time here. But yeah, go check them out at Hy-Vee right here in Eau Claire. Bunch of deals all over the place. Plus, grab some Man Cave Light from some 4-packs of Man Cave Light and some Dan Good Burgers over there too. So, all right, Brandon. What are we gonna? Never mind. I'll ask you off the air. I hate it when you look at me like that too. So.
I'm sorry for looking at you while we're having
distract me half the time here.
Am I just a naturally distracting person?
Yes.
Am I that fetching? Am I that
no
breathtaking that you just get distracted when you just look at my mere presence?
You are that creepy. Sorry, but you opened the door for that one. Hey, I'm also putting together my final. I'm putting together. I shouldn't say final. The initial list of the sports towns, the towns that we want to list or go visit with the mole. My pen must be dead over here for my tablet. Yeah, it is. So if you have any last second nominations of some sports, these are going to be ones that we visit like during the day and such. So again, if you're just listening to something that we throw out, I'm going to throw something at you, right? We're looking for like small sports towns, villages, 715 in the area code 715. Whether they got a cool history, a bunch of different stuff. Like it's like, okay, that's a cool sports town, or they got something cool in there that's, sports related or something like that. Let us know. So we're going to hop in the mobile man cave and take some trips and kind of do some quick visits and all that. So I've got a list going. The first wave is going to be finalized coming up here. But if you got any last minute nominations, hit me up with the text and I will I'll try to see if it makes that first wave, first list over there. So try to get as many as we possibly can. Right. So, okay. What else do we got here? Yeah. Quick update on the, C-Bomb said too. I'm not saying that last text, C-Bomb. But he said he may do 2 time slots this year. Well, if you're going to do 2, he's already signed up for one. You better get on your butt and do the sign up for the other one, man, before it's gone. So, hey, maybe if you need a partner, maybe I could do the afternoon too. No, I'm too busy.
Right.
That stresses me out too much. I'll be worried about what Brandon's doing up at the bar and all that.
I think you have a pretty good idea what my group and I will be doing at the bar.
Yeah, I do have a good idea. So, again, thank you to the to Green Bay for doing family night the next day. So that worked out perfectly over there. So, quick updates on how the poll is going right now. With Ben Sheets is out to a lead. He's out to, shall we say, it's still early,
solid but not insurmountable.
Yeah, that might be the best way. To me, it's always fascinating when I see these polls go out here, how Twitter and Facebook go.
Mm-hmm.
Because a few of these so far have been one side has been for another one, and Facebook has been another one out there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, there you go. So it's Ben Sheets that's leading the way. So, what are we at? 25 past the hour. How excited are you paying attention to the Stanley Cup Finals a little bit there, or if we get to Game 7 Monday,
it's got a little more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, can Edmonton do it?
Mm-hmm.
They got from 3-0 to 3-2. They got the home game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. I mean, yeah, if they do that, then suddenly those screws really turn on Florida.
Is Game 7 the best thing in all sports?
Yes.
Yeah. Game 7 doesn't matter if it's a playoff, opening round series, or championships. I want to feel that feeling that those guys feel in a Game 7 in a championship beforehand. I don't want to feel the end results if I lose.
Right.
I don't want that. But I want to feel that feeling that they've got in the pit of their stomachs, because I can't imagine what that's like. the intensity, the
Just
nervousness.
knowing that for some guys that might be their only shot. Like, hey, everyone wants to win championships. Like,
Yep.
and especially in like hockey. I mean, to me, the Stanley Cup is the best trophy in sports.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider the history to it, when you consider like it's got the names of people that have won it on it, like, and knowing like, hey, I could get that. Like, if you're a guy that's near the end of your career and you know, like, hey, this is my one shot. I mean, I don't know how I would be able to kind of work through the nerves and the emotion of that, but obviously they can.
Right. Yeah.
That's why they're pros.
That is why. But I mean, obviously I picked Edmonton to win, so I'm really hoping they get it done tonight. But Game 7 on Monday, if Edmonton wins tonight, I already know what I'm doing Monday night. And I am watching that game.
Appointment viewing.
I am watching that one for sure. So, all right, I gave you some time. Did you figure out who you emulated as a child, as a young wee Brandon on the Bellinger Fields, Lublin Fields, Thorpe Fields, wherever you were? Who did you emulate? Who did you want to be?
My front yard, my side yard, my backyard.
Yep. In the gravel pits.
Like when I was younger, I would say like football wise, and I mean my favorite player, and I guess this kind of mixes because I would say Barry Sanders. Like if you're playing in, say you're playing in the backyard, your friends, you're playing at recess. Like, I mean, how could you not watch Barry Sanders and not want to try to be the guy that like, basically you're running 15 yards to end up running 3. You're always trying to make something happen when there was nothing that was probably going to happen. But he would. I mean, that was in my younger days. Before I kind of got a little bit of a gut on me when by the time I got to like middle and high school, so it was a little bit easier to try to pull that off. But baseball, not so much. Like the one thing I can think of was I did kind of adopt the pre-swing before the pitch of Jeff Cirillo.
Okay.
With how he would, just how how you would kind of get yourself.
Yep.
And that's really all I can think of.
It's I would love to, like, I don't know, it's a unique thing to see all those players with their routines and how they develop that.
Right.
Their batting stance and all that. It's just where they as kids they try to emulate somebody they grew up watching, that sort of stuff. Obviously you're hearing a lot, like, did you watch the Rick Wood thing last night a little bit?
I did, yeah.
I mean, how many legends that we grew up watching,
Right.
even a little bit above our time though too, but
like a Reggie Jackson.
If you haven't watched some of that, and he talked about when he played down there and the racism he was going through. He mentioned some players and coaches that helped him out. And he mentioned Raleigh Fingers was one of the guys that let him stay on his couch because people wouldn't allow him. And I kind of like, Raleigh Fingers was and I had to look it up. It's been AAA was down in Birmingham or
Right.
AA or one of the two. But
yeah.
But yeah, and then you had Griffey over there. I know a couple of you had mentioned Barry Bonds was there, and obviously Derek Jeter and those guys were already on the desk.
Well,
and such,
even the interview with the and I forget the gentleman's name, but the guy that threw the first pitch.
Oh yeah,
the oldest living Negro League player.
Like,
just to hear that, like it's just one of those things that, like, obviously,
to think though it wasn't that long
and
either.
it wasn't, but we've come a long. Thankfully, we've come a long way in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But that was they did very well with that.
They did.
And that is honestly something I'd like to see more. Because that Rick Wood is such a historic. I mean, it's the
oldest ballpark right now.
It's the oldest like pro ballpark in the country.
Yep.
Like, and look at it, and it was cool because like it was big, but it wasn't gigantic.
Right.
Like
they still had like the wood paneling. It looked
and it wasn't, but it was.
Right.
And I like how they had like the old advertisements.
Yep.
Or I mean, they were. Sure, they were getting new money for it, but like they did it in that old motif, and then for like the one half inning, didn't they have it like the TV broadcast looked like it was from like a 1950s TV or something?
Yep,
which is cool.
Yeah, you're right, because I think even Smoltz said it's not wood panel, but it sounded like the one center fielder that tried to make it.
Yeah, there was someone that crashed into it, but I think he said like it's not, but it looks like it.
And it almost sounded like it too. Right. It was like, oh, that's.
We didn't anybody crash into the fence.
Right. It was like that would have been not to crash in there, but it just it was like that.
But
I thought I really like that's what baseball has done the last couple of years, whether it's the Field of Dreams or Rick Wood, you know.
They played at the for the Little League World Series.
Yeah. Yep.
They had
You
that
know,
game too.
yep.
Like I like that they're because you can do that with baseball
Mhm.
because you can have a game where you have like a smaller crowd for it. You know, NFL's never going to do that,
Right.
because they're going to want as many people as they can everywhere. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, NHL has the Winter Classic, which, I mean, you're getting big crowds there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I like that you know, that's something baseball's done that I really like, that they're kind of embracing their history a little bit with these different venues.
And I'll be honest with you too. It's gotten me with this like more like, oh, I want to know more about the history of the game. You know what I mean? Like,
I do too. Like, and that's something that I've you know, kind of been looking into, searching out. Like, I want to try to find like books and stuff about the Negro League.
I was just doing that
it's
too.
like
Yeah.
it's it's very interesting, and it's something I just don't know enough about, and I would like to change that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I was literally doing that the last couple of days too. Is looking up books and, you know, my next read or something like that. And yeah, it's like, oh, I want to know more about that guy or this player. You know, I love finding out more about those certain players. And that's where, you know, you and I, especially, you know, I know you with baseball over the critical of some stuff and that.
Yeah, no, I will give them all the credit in the world for
Yep.
this, because it's
This was
these series of types of games have been good.
And you're right, because I don't know of another sport that can do that.
Right. Like,
Because
basketball, like,
you're playing basketball now in football stadiums. You
yeah,
know,
like basketball, like, would you go to, like,
where they had Hoosiers.
yeah, that was the only thing I could think of offhand.
Right.
But like, football's not going to do it.
Right.
Because, I mean,
Green Bay, the Packers are not going to play at Old City Stadium.
no.
That's just not going to happen.
No. And if, like, NFL's not going to sacrifice an 80,000 seat game for a 20,000 seat game.
Right.
Even though
Maybe for a preseason. Not even in Green
maybe.
Bay.
I mean, they did that with the Chargers for a few years, playing in
Yeah.
that soccer stadium, and that was
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
You really can't do. I mean, for crying out loud, Brian. I mean, they had the U.S. Olympic swimming trials. They're having in Indy.
And they're drawing crowds.
Yeah.
Like, they've got like more than 20,000 people there.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I don't know how they did it. You know, putting a freaking pool in there, but they're doing it. You know,
Right.
They're drawing that crowd there. So, I really appreciate baseball doing that, and I think it's so cool to see that.
I do too.
And just kind of re-educating people about the
Right,
history
and
of the
just
game.
like reminding you of your roots.
Mhm.
Like, hey, this is where it was, and thankfully this is where it is now.
Right. Yep. Exactly. If you haven't seen some of those stories, do yourself a favor and look them up on Facebook and Twitter. Especially the Reggie Jackson one was pretty
powerful.
yeah. Because like he even said, he's like, it's hard for me to come back here. Like, you know, they're kind of celebrating coming back to this field and that, and here you got Reggie Jackson saying it's kind of hard though.
Yeah.
And when you hear his stories of what he went through,
you understand it.
yeah, it's like, wow. And the thing, it's really wasn't that long ago. I mean, if you think about it, put it in that
Right.
perspective.
Right.
Like, even I was thinking about this when it was like D-Day. It was like they were like 80-year ever. I'm like, if you think about that, 80 wasn't that long ago.
No, if you were 20,
Yeah.
you'd be 100.
Right.
And you're still alive.
I mean, there's still people alive that were.
Right. That's not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
You know, we always think of history as just that, history, but there's so many of these, you know, significant events, even
Mhm.
more recent ones, like, you know, the Vietnam War or something like that. Like,
Right.
it's not that those aren't that long ago.
No.
Like,
Yep, you're right. I know, like, you know, he played outside of our wheelhouse, but you know, Willie Mays, easily one of the best. Like, let me ask you this: history-wise, do you think Ken Griffey was the closest to Willie Mays? If Griffey would have stayed healthy,
I could see that. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's the difference is the longevity.
Right.
I mean, Willie Mays. I mean, it's crazy that Willie Mays is a 24-time All-Star.
Yeah,
24.
24 straight.
24.
Yep.
If he made his first All-Star game this year, he would make his last one around near the end, roughly. I'm assuming there's a couple of years where he didn't. Near the end of the 2040s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
Probably as far as like that 5-2. You know, I mean,
I almost feel like they need to create an award, saying the Willie Mays Award. And I know they got it for the World Series MVP. I think it is. or
yeah,
something
but
like that. But it's like the best 5-tool player. You know,
right. Right. Like, and it was something that I never really heard it talked about until, unfortunately, this week. We're like, who's the greatest all-around baseball player? And like, obviously, people are going to bring up Babe Ruth because he both pitched and hit, and that's fair.
Yep.
But if you were looking for a legitimate like 5-tool position player, like, I don't see how you could do better than Willie Mays.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing you looked for was there, and that's something you always. You have that argument in other sports, but I don't recall ever hearing it too much in baseball.
I was thinking about
because
this.
you think of your all-time greats, like, depending on how you look at it, like, is Hank Aaron the home run king, whatever, but like, there's just, I don't know. I don't think don't recall people having that conversation. And maybe it's because so many people just say it's Willie Mays, and like, that's just the end of the conversation.
Right. There's I was thinking about this the other day. When you think about baseball players, to me, maybe we take it for granted a little bit, but you talk about that 5-tool player, you're talking about players that for a half inning, they got to go play some magnificent defense, whether it's a shortstop, whether it's a center fielder covering all that ground and this, that, the other. Then they got to go up there and produce, trying to do one of the hardest things in all sports, and that's hit a baseball. Where they're like, almost a two-way type of player, right? When we talk about football, both sides sort of thing.
Right. If you're a receiver, you're a receiver.
You're a receiver. Basketball's kind of the same, but let's face it, defense is kind of a lost art now in the NBA.
Yeah.
For a lot of people out there.
Hockey, I mean, I guess you talk about being a two-way player. I mean,
right.
If you're a goalie, you're a goalie, but if you're a center, you're a center, but you also, like, if you're a good defender, it's going to be noticeable.
Right. It's just, I think, when you think about it in terms of like baseball position players, when you think about the completely like different things they have to do in just their sport alone.
Like, there's different facets that go into the game.
Right. Exactly. And it's just, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I don't know if sometimes we just take it for granted and we don't think about like, that guy's got to go up there and try to hit 300, all these home runs and get on base. And then like 3 outs later, he's got to go do something completely different.
Well, I think, and obviously that reminds me of, was it Wednesday? Or was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I forget. Whatever the game was where Jackson Chiro hit the, double inside the park over what you want to say. But like,
under 15 seconds.
But he does that. But I'm just saying. And then like the next half inning, the TV broadcast shows him, and he's still huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame him, but I'm just like, it's great. Like, you're okay. Hey, congratulations. You went and did this. I got to go back out here and play the outfield.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, is there another sport that's like that? To that degree. And it's not to diminish another sport.
No, but it's just
to that degree where it's completely different. Where on a it's just, it's not like you can't be, how do I want to say this? You almost can't specialize in just one area for you to be a successful baseball player.
And to be like an all-time great. Like,
right.
You can, hey, well, look at, I mean,
we focus a lot on the offensive numbers when we talk about like greats and that.
But you can be a great defender, and you'll get it. You'll hang around. You'll get a good job. But like, you need to check all those boxes if you're going to be an all-time great. Like in NFL, like if you're a great pass-catching receiver but you don't block, like nobody really cares.
Right.
Like Randy Moss wasn't a great blocker.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Didn't matter.
Yeah. Deion Sanders was not a great tackler.
No. Right.
And he's
Adrian Peterson was a terrible receiver.
Yeah.
And he wasn't very good at picking up blocks in the backfield.
Right.
But, in those instances, players could do certain things at an absolutely elite special level that didn't really diminish from what they were able to do.
Right. And I also think it's kind of a unique, outside the select few, you may not make your pro debut until you're 24, 25.
Right.
It still takes a little bit of a pro. And it just makes those younger guys who are 18, 19 that are playing at that just even a little bit more special.
Like
the Bryce Harpers, Jackson
Chourio getting to go, Jackson Merrill for the Dodgers. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I was pondering that, thinking about that the other day. So, all right. We got to take a quick break. We'll wrap things up. We got some picks and predicts, cream of the crop as well. So we'll get to that as we wrap up this Friday morning after these quick words. So we got a couple more signups for the Casper Classic. It looks like we got Seabaum that did sign up now for an afternoon one, and we got a 7:31. And with this character on the course, we are going to need a reporter. Surveyor Sam has now signed up for the 7:30 slot.
I can go give the. I said I'll give the pre-4th hole.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going? Interview.
Can we get like Amanda Balionis or whatever her name is? She's not hooked up with Roy McIlroy anymore, it sounds like, so she might have some free time. What? I'm just saying, just she might be available to be course reporter. That's all I'm talking about, Brandon, is a course reporter. So, all right, surveyor's in for that one there too. So we'll have to set something up like the featured group, like from the Masters.
We get someone to live stream, just follow them around.
Just follow them around on TV and that. So
last weekend I actually watched more of the U.S. Open, especially. I mean, obviously down the stretch Sunday, of course, but like because NBC had like the multiple, and I could quad box it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It was, yeah. I mean, I felt bad for Rory at the end, but
I did too.
It was you made a good point though, and I've said this to myself a lot. I don't wish it, but sometimes when I see pros make mistakes, that we make mistakes, it makes me feel better. Well, I feel like it's an angel gets its wings every time.
Well, even though like the last 9 for both Rory and DeChambeau was not great, not by their standards.
What, he hit like 4 or 5 fairways and
like, yeah, you'd see like the last few holes, like, taking their second shot from like where the taller grass and stuff was, like, hey, one of us. Well, and then of course DeChambeau hits that amazing sand shot. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yep. Surveyor says if we follow him around as a feature group, better have the bleep button ready. Well, we won't have you mic'd up.
No.
Unless you get really loud, and then it might be a live stream, which I think we can get away with since it's not on the radio dial. So might be a little bit like live stream, like Facebook or YouTube or something like that. So. Before we do some picks and predicts, we got cream of the crop. Let's do that first. Go for it, Brandon. What do you got for your cream of the crop?
I'm going to lump a few into mine because obviously with the Willie Mays news this week, it just seems like recently we've lost a lot of legends.
Donald Sutherland yesterday too, the actor.
Donald Sutherland, but I was thinking like I didn't, just with the way things work, we at least when I was there, we never really had a chance to talk about Bill Walton.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it just seems like that's kind of been the case where, for whatever reason this year, it's just, one of those times where we're losing a lot of these legends where, we get a chance to kind of go back and talk about, their impact and stuff a little bit. Unfortunately, it takes something like this sometimes for that to happen, but just so many of these athletes that have done so much for their respective sports. And, we're getting the chance to remember them, but, unfortunately, Jerry West, Bill Walton, now Willie Mays, like that's 3 in a pretty impactful people in a pretty short order.
And they always say it happens in 3s, right? But,
yeah. I mean, so hopefully we're good for a while.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, you talk like pillars.
Yes.
Pillars of their
Jerry West's logo. Bill Walton, like, I know, obviously a lot of people know him for his announcing, but
Hall of Fame career as a player, but for us probably for his announcing.
Yes, and like one of the all-time great college players, like and could have been that in the pros, but injuries kind of limited him. Still had a really good career.
Yep.
But still,
I told this on Wednesday. I don't mean to make this sound bad because I'm not, but like, you want to know how I found out about Willie Mays? It just if I was watching the Yankee game with Hudson. Bob Costas told me. And I'm like, if there was a way to find out, Bob Costas telling me, it was like...
Right. I think it was similar to me because I wasn't looking at my phone. I was doing something, and then suddenly I turned on... Because, that was on TV. That game
it was the Yankees-Orioles. Yeah,
I think and I heard Bob talking about, like, it was like the 62 World Series, whatever it was, and like, okay, well, I mean, Bob Costas has a tendency to go off on, tell stories. Okay, but then I turned to something else, and like then they were really talking about because I just remember earlier this week, him releasing a statement through his family saying he was not going to be at the
It was like
Ridgewood
the
game.
day
And that was,
before.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Like
Mhm.
that's obviously that would be someone you would love to have there, but I
Right.
mean, he's 93 or whatever, so that's okay.
Mhm.
And then a few years later, it's like, or a few days later, it's like, oh, like,
Yep. Yeah. So it was like if there was somebody that was going to tell me about that or how I found out, it was like Bob Costas calling a baseball game was like the way to
Right.
find out about that.
Right.
It was just like, so I happened to like glance, because I wasn't paying too much attention to it because Hudson's all in baseball right now. And then I kind of glanced up and they had a graphic about Willie Mays. I'm like, wait a minute. So I hit the rewind button and yeah, he announced it. I'm like, wow, okay. So that's, I mean, I'm gonna tag along with you on that cream of the crop there. I mean, that's, yeah, definitely. So otherwise I was gonna throw in like DeChambeau, US Open. I don't know why. I don't know if you're like this. I think I've grown a little bit more on DeChambeau.
A lot of people have. Like
Yeah.
he's done a really good, and some would say like of rehabbing his image, but maybe just growing.
Yeah.
Like, and not physically. Actually, it's when he's he kind of took a little bit of muscle off. I mean, he's still a big dude that can crush the ball, but like there was that earlier on in his career. I think
The him and Brooks,
yeah,
back and forth there.
and I think with him there was just kind of this feeling that like he really bulked up and he was just going to be like the
Because
big,
didn't he make comments about
like, he made comments
driving
about-
at the Masters?
well,
or
yeah,
something
like how
that?
his game was like Masters proof or Augusta proof or something, and then he really
Mhm.
struggled.
Yep.
But like I think he kind of remade himself. But I think it's just part of it's just growing up,
Mhm.
like kind of
Yep.
understanding the bigger picture of okay, like I can't be that person. I don't need to be that person. You gain. You learn through your experiences, and he's
Yep.
had some experiences. He had some setbacks, so he said, "Look, hey, I gotta I can't keep doing this."
Right.
And he's grown, and
Mhm.
and now I mean he's in many ways a beloved player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, good on him for
and I thought he did it perfectly at the US Open, interacting with fans and
Yeah.
being a part of that and all that. So yeah, I've kind of grown a little bit on him now. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
Hopefully that continues.
it's good for golf. I mean, you just
At some point, he's probably somebody's gonna produce his clubs, right? I mean, I know he 3D printed those, but at some point they're gonna be for sale. I have to imagine. So
someone that wants to make a bunch of money with him will.
yeah, his own signature clubs. I mean, come on, it's right there for somebody. So. All right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. If you're looking for somewhere to maybe catch some of the games or stay out of the rain, you can head over to the Elbow Room and grab yourself a Man Cave Light over there too. But all right, Brandon, the next 3 games for the Brewers will win how many?
I'm going to say 1.
Oh,
I know I'm not going with the normal meatloaf.
they're losing 3 out of 4?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
They're losing 3 out of 4?
Yes.
You hater.
No, he used to pitch for the Padres.
Why?
I don't know. I just got a feeling.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong, but I just got a feeling.
I don't like that. I thought for sure you were going to go with the straight up split, because that's where I'm going.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right.
2 out of. Well, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go 3 out of 4. They win their next 3.
I'm not going to be too greedy.
I'm going to be greedy. You're a first place team. Go do it. Get it done. So no, I'll go with 2. I'll go with 2 on this one. Let's do what else do we got here for
Stanley Cup?
We got Stanley Cup. I was double checking to make sure if there's any more baseball games we want to pick. If there's any good ones coming up here. Just Atlanta at New York, the Yankees.
2 or 3. It's been a struggle for the Braves. I mean, they've
Mhm.
had some injuries and just some players just not quite firing on all cylinders yet. So I'll go 2 out of 3 for the Yankees.
I'll go Yankees there too. 2 out of yeah. How about Minnesota at Oakland beginning that series today?
Twins.
Yeah, I'll go Twins too.
2 or 3.
The typical 2 out of 3. How about this one? Toronto at Cleveland.
I'm gonna go Cleveland for the sweep.
Okay. I'll go Cleveland wins the series, but not sweep. I'm going to throw this one because I think there's kind of Boston's not playing bad right now. Visiting Cincinnati.
Boston wins that series. 2 out of 3 helps the Brewers a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, all right, Stanley Cup.
I'm gonna say Florida closes it out
No,
tonight. In part because I would like to look at the numbers on this. It's probably not, but I just always have this feeling in my head that it didn't happen in the NBA, but so many times teams clinch on the road.
Yeah.
It just to me it seems like that happens a lot. So I'm gonna say Florida gets it together. They prevail like 5-3.
I wish we had some listeners up in Canada right now, because I want to know if Edmonton is lit right now, or if it's going to be lit tonight. It's got to be lit tonight.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
Right?
It will be.
You know, I
Like,
mean,
and it's not just like that. It's a Canadian team. It's like a premier Canadian team. You think of like them and the Maple Leafs.
mm-hmm.
I think are probably like the two premier Canadian teams.
Right. I mean, that place has got to be a madhouse when that puck drops tonight.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, as a visitor at one point, everybody says it was going to be timid, but as a visitor too, I think I always like going on the road and playing because I want to shut up people.
Right. The best thing you can do on the road is play in front of a quiet crowd.
Right. Exactly.
Because you're the ones that
mm-hmm.
shushed them.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that kind of gets overplayed a little bit about like, oh, they're going to Owasso. But that's also motivation. Like, okay, let's shut them up.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Like these are adults. Like they're going to be motivated by that.
Right. But man, it's got to be to the Edmonton fan out there. If she's going to be at the game, you know what I'm talking about.
I was actually going to bring that up if you knew about that off air.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. If you haven't, she gets.
God bless.
Oh man.
All I gotta say for you, Florida, is if you're gonna do it, you better do it tonight because you don't want to take it to a game 7. Like, especially being up 0-3 and like, ooh.
God, I want a game 7 so bad.
I do too. Like, I don't think it's going to happen, but man, I would love to see it.
Okay. Let's project here a little bit. Edmonton wins the next 2. Where does that go in terms of the rankings out there?
I mean, I don't know the numbers as far as like coming back from 0-3, but it's got to go pretty darn high.
Yeah.
Considering not only that it was 3-0,
I mean,
but it was dominant 3-0.
You're talking, does it pass Boston Yankees because this is a championship series?
I don't know if I can, just because that's Boston Yankees and that wasn't the part of breaking the curse. I mean,
and that rivalry was at its peak at that time.
No, that absolutely was. And so like, no, but it's still pretty darn good. Like,
yeah, it's up there, but I don't know if I can go. I don't know if I can go past Boston and Yankees.
No, I can't.
That one was epic too.
It was like it's crazy. Like I remember even like
I was in college.
I was
you were in college too.
Yeah, I was cheering for, like staying up. Like I was cheering for the Red Sox.
Oh, so was I.
Like
nope. I think a lot. That was the year. I think there was a lot of Boston fans, and I'm using air quotes.
And keep in mind, outside of that was right at the start of like what Boston's done the last 20 some years. Now I'd probably say, like I would be watching just to watch.
Right.
But like then
I want that rivalry to kick it up a little. It's not the Veritek versus A-Rod and all that stuff anymore.
I don't know if you just have as many like stalwarts on both teams. I mean, you got Aaron Judge with the Yankees. Red Sox, you got like Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
But like those are very good players, but they're kind of understated players.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is an awesome player, but I think he the way he likes it is he's just kind of a quieter guy.
I was gonna say I don't know of anybody who really hates Aaron Judge, even though he plays on the Yankees.
Right. And it's not and it's not the same. Like, I mean, at that time, the Yankees were dominant. They've won one World Series since then.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. By the way, really quick, baseball trivia before I let you go. Who is the current leader in active leader right now for the most home runs, career wise? I want to see if you're surprised by this person too. So currently playing active leader.
Carlos Santana.
No.
I don't know. Is it Aaron Judge?
No. Giancarlo Stan's got 419 home runs.
Okay.
That kind of surprised me a little. Mike Trout's second.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Because we were looking at him like, he's got that many already. So he could get the 500.
He's just got to stay healthy.
Yep. All right. Brandon and I are going to do a podcast after this. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay dry. We'll be back Monday.